Hello everyone and welcome back. We just finished the base configuration of the ITSM 8.2 plugin where we registered two vRealize endpoints, one being vRealize 8.2 on-prem and one being vRealize cloud. And we also created two entitlements for the ITSM_user for each of those endpoints. Before I go and demo the user portal, which I will do in part 5 of this video series, allow me to touch on a few of the ITSM 8.2 plugin advanced configurations that you might find helpful in increasing the overall user experience. So in this section, we will touch on customizing the user portal in ServiceNow. That's being able to configure both the header and the footer of the portal, as well as being able to upload a logo image to ServiceNow that represents your organizations, for example. Also, after that, we'll touch on how to enable two-way checkout user experience. This is where you can select multiple items before you submit the request, and then looking at configuring and running the import jobs manually or on demand. There are certain use cases and scenarios where you would need to do that. And finally, touch on a beta feature in the ITSM 8.2 plugin, and that is being able to leverage the native ServiceNow classic UI or service portal instead of the user portal that is provided by the plugin. So let's start by diving into each of those topics. Starting with customization of the user portal in ServiceNow, you need to make sure that the scope is selected as VMware vRealize Automation ITSM application, and I've demonstrated how to do that in the previous video. If you have not seen it, you can always go back and check those videos. Also, you have to be the system administrator in ServiceNow is the only persona that can customize the user portal simply by launching the user portal and then clicking the gear setting or the cog on the user portal and to update both the header and the footer information. Now, on the header section or on the header side, you have two tabs. One is color and logo, and this is where you can update the background color and the logo of the header. So on the logo, you can control things like the banner text and the image you want to present on the user portal. And on the footer side, this is where we also can control the color and the logo, as well as in addition to things like weighted links, normal links, and social icons. Where if you want to configure your Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube links. Now, to upload a logo image to ServiceNow, users are required to upload an image on ServiceNow to reflect their company logos, for example, on the header or the footer of the user portal. The procedure is very simple. On the ServiceNow portal, simply search for System UI and then click on the images from the menu below. This is going to load the image window. Click New to create a new record and simply enter the name of the image file, and then click Add to upload the image file from your local systems. Hit Update when you're done, and that's going to create a record with your logo image. And also you can see it if you go back, you'll see the name of the logo and the actual image of that file that you can use to reflect in both the header and the footer. ServiceNow platform supports multiple picture file format, something like JPG, PNG, PMP, GIF, JPEG, ICO, and SVG. All these are supported image file formats. Now, in terms of enabling two-way checkout from a user experience perspective, it enables users to send multiple requests for catalog items at the same time. When you're about to enable the two-way checkout, you want to make sure that the scope is selected as global. Again, I've demonstrated how to do that in previous videos. And from a procedure perspective, log into ServiceNow as a system administrator, search for catalog administrations, and then select properties from the menu below. This was going to load the service catalog configuration page where you can scroll down and select the card tab and simply use the slider to turn on the use of the two-step catalog checkout model, which happens to be set to false by default. Once you are done, hit save and then you will see a shopping cart icon, which is an indication that the two-way checkout is now enabled in the user portal. And this is going to enable users to select multiple items like we mentioned. They will see the number of items in the shopping cart icon next to their username, and also they have options to either delete individual items that they've selected if they change their mind, or continue shopping, or check out if they're happy with their selections. Now let's talk about configuring and running the import jobs. Import jobs describes the jobs that are automatically scheduled at the time of the installation of the ITSM 8.2 plugin. You always have the option to update the default scheduled intervals as required or as you see fit from a business perspective, and also run these jobs on demand if you need to. There will be scenarios where you might need to run these jobs manually sometimes. Now, one thing to note here is that to access these jobs, you simply search for the vRealize automation in the filter navigator and simply click on job schedules. You will see 5 different jobs. Those jobs, when you're about to execute those jobs manually, you need to remember to run these in a specific order. And I have included those on the slide in terms of how you should execute and in what order from 1 to 5, as you can see on the slides here. Also, the recommendation is to run each of those jobs one at a time. So if you do start with the generating API token, you always can go to the job queues in the menu and make sure that there's no records that are in process before you move on to job number 2 and execute that. Now, you want to exercise caution when you're changing either the interval or manually running those jobs, as per the documentation, data corruption or loss can occur. For me personally, I'm never seen any type of data corruption or loss when I was executing or changing the interval as or during the testing of the plugin. But again, I'm not using the plugin in a production type of instance. So regardless to say, exercise caution when doing so. Now, the last thing we want to touch on is the beta feature where you can use the ServiceNow native classic UI or native service portal to display the catalog items in ServiceNow. So this is available today, like I mentioned. If you don't know what the classic UI looks like, this is the classic UI. You can access it by simply clicking on Service Catalog. And as you can see on the screenshot, I'm entitled to 2 item catalogs from VRA within the VMware Lab projects. If I go and actually click on one of those, I am presented with all the menu and all the inputs that I need to provide and simply order the item that I'm interested in. The service portal, this is what the service portal looks like. As you can see, it's a lot smoother. Again, here I can go in and click on the project that I am member of, and also access the 2 blueprints that I'm entitled to. And if I click on one of those blueprints, I'm also presented with the menu with all the inputs required for this blueprint or this item catalog. And once I'm done, I can place my order via the service portal, which is again native to ServiceNow. You will not be able to use the user portal once you enable and activate the use of the classic UI and or the service portal. One of the things that I want to note here is that once you move from user portal to the native classic UI and service portal, data types supportability might change. So you want to check the documentation of what data types do you lose by doing the switch. Also, this is a beta feature. There is no deployment view exists today when you're doing so, but it does support day 2 actions on the machines that you basically end up deploying. This feature and the documentation is not publicly available currently. So work with your VMware account team if you want to test this beta feature and you want to have access to the documentation in terms of how to do that. With that, this takes us to the end of part 4 video. Please be aware that part 4 is made up of 3 different sections. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.